Yesterday, Rizespor gave us this miracle finish to take points away from Fenerbahçe. And then today, Galatasaray went to Ankara and won the game. Welcome back to the Galatasaray show with Brad. We won. Yay. We're usually not used to being so happy to just beat Gençlerbirliği, but after what we went through the last few weeks, it feels really good. So we got the lead back to 4 points and another weekend off the schedule. So now there's only 4 games left in the season. So for us that's Fenerbahçe, away to Samsun, home to Antalyaspor, and away at Kasımpaşa. So 12 points possible, and we have a 4-point lead. So that's good. What's bigger, next week, we've got Fenerbahçe at home in Rams Park. I'm so excited that I want to be there. My first derby since 2007. And we win that game, and we'll have a 7-point lead with 3 games to go, which is only 9 points. So that's almost going to wrap up the title, baby. So let's talk about the game today. What a difference the week off made. They looked so much better this week on the road than they looked against Kocaelispor last week. And what a start. The often criticized, sometimes much maligned superstar striker Mario Icardi with this beautiful goal in the 2nd minute. That, of course, is our earliest goal in a game all season. We always talk about, like, if we can score early, how great it is. And we score. This is about as early as you can score, unless you did it like in the 1st minute. So a great assist from Yunus to set it up. So we get out in front early. We were very much in control of this game in the first half. In the 34th minute, a great little combination of Sane, who we'll talk about a little bit more later, to Sara, across to Yunus for the nice tap in. So now in the first half an hour, Yunus has a goal and an assist. Way much better game from him in the stat aspect this week from the previous week. And so we're at halftime. We're up 2-0. We're looking good. Now let's talk about the Sane goal. So I think it was around the 60th minute, the hour mark, here's Sane's goal, right? It looked fine to us. Looked fine to me, all my friends. They called it offsides, as you know. Now, here's the offside position. Does your hand sticking out, just your hand, really make a difference in the goal? And according to my friend Alper, he says, according to the rules, the hand doesn't even matter. It shouldn't even count. So how does the ref go to VAR, look at this picture, see the hand, if he knows the rules, and call the goal offside? I mean, I'm sure if you're watching this channel, you saw our former striker Brock Yilmaz's press conference when he quit as the Gaziantep coach and hurled tons of allegations, which I believe, back at the TFF, and said there's no way he can coach with the way that they're treating him. It's amazing to me that we even have a lead with the way that we're being treated. This should have been a goal. It should be been a 3-0 lead all day long. And the reason that it was a problem, as soon as they call this offside, if you've ever played a sport and you know a call goes against you like that you know is wrong, right? That's very demoralizing because you know it starts to creep into your mind, especially with the reputation of the referees in the Turkish Super League, that they're out to get you. You know that they have Galatasaray fatigue. They know Fenerbahçe dropped points yesterday, and they're going to do everything they can to make you drop points. That affects you. And what happened like a minute later? Gençlerbirliği scores. Now it's 2-1. So now you go from 3-0, where you're very comfortable. Now all of a sudden it's 2-1, where you're a mistake away from dropping points and still having the 2-point lead. But I'm sure you were, proud of the team. They didn't let that stop them. They played good defense down the stretch. Lots of substitutions. Almost everybody played. Khan played, Lamina came in, uh, everybody, Lang, he came in. So we used a lot of players this week. It looks like they were all rested. Lang looked very energetic, kind of like what Sane did. Let's talk about Sane. Sane's a frustrating player for me and a lot of us because you'll see him and his skill level is so high, but sometimes his effort isn't there. It doesn't matter how great your skill is if your effort is not there, right? And it just doesn't seem like he can string a whole like game together with high effort and high skill. You saw his assist last week. You saw some great passes he had today. The goal that they took away from him, he had a great game, but then there was other times you looked and it's like he almost disappears, kind of like what Barish does sometimes. Barish, I know he was out there today because I saw him in the starting lineup. Here, here is the starting lineup. I almost forgot to show this, and so we were all a little disappointed, I think, when Osaman, who traveled, was not actually part of the team, but he was in the stands. Here he is pregame signing some autographs. He looks very happy. So I assume if he was in too much pain with his arm, he wouldn't be this happy. So he should play, and they said he will against Finner next week. So Cardi started up front. You see that Eunice is back at the 10. We've had mixed results there. Sara is partnering with Torreira in Sidalamina. You have Barsh and Sane on the wings like we've seen. Shalai back at right back instead of Bowie or Singo. Jacob starts instead of Aaron this time. And of course, it's always the Abdul Karim and Sanchez show. We have no other choices, I think, besides those two. And Orjan in goal. So I think a lot of us were kind of worried about this lineup because we've seen it not perform before. But as we said, Eunice played great. Cardi played great. Sane had his moments. Barsh was a little up and down. Sara the same way. He had some odd moments, but he also had some good ones. I just wish he could be a little bit more smooth. And, the team's not playing exactly like we'd want them to, as fluid as we'd want them to, right? And I really just think a lot of that is due to the mental and physical fatigue of the season. You see it across Europe. You saw Arsenal drop points inexplicably last week in the Premier League. And what did they do in the midweek? They had to play in the Champions League. They have to play Man City tomorrow. Did Man City play in the Champions League? No, but Arsenal did, and so we'll see. Bayern, they've had their struggles with after in and out of the Champions League. So yeah, it's tough because you're playing all those extra games. What do you play? 8, 9, 10, 12. I think 12 Champions League games. And so that's a lot of extra games. That's games that Gençlerbirliği and Kocaelispor and Fenerbahçe and the rest of them they're not playing. And those games, as you know, those games take way more out of you, not just physically, but mentally. And so I think a lot of the criticism that's being thrown to the team is unwarranted because it's hard to compare the team this year to last year's team that was playing so well at the end of the season because last year's team didn't play in the Champions League. They didn't have to play all those extra games. They went out super early. And so it's totally different on your legs, on your body, on your mind. So the fact that we did play all those extra Champions League games, went to the final 16 of the Champions League, and now we have a 4-point lead with 4 games to go. We have a chance on Wednesday against Gençlerbirliği again to go into the semifinals of the Turkish Cup. I think we should be very happy with where we are. We can't expect them to play every game just like world beaters when they've played so much. So I'm happy with where they are. And I believe you win next week, you're going to win the league. Then you're going to have a great chance to win the Turkish Cup. And wow, a season where we win the league, win the cup, and we go to the final 16 of the Champions League. Who's not going to like that? I don't think anybody would. So yeah, great win today. Um, oh, and I know this jersey is old, but they wore their wide away jersey, and this is the only white jersey that I have. If you know what year this is from, please tell me. It's got to be from the 2000 somewhere. I bought it when I went to a game. I can't tell you whose name's on the back of it because I don't want this video to get banned. So I know it has to be like 2005 or 6 or 7, somewhere in there. I'm sure there's a jersey locator. You can kind of see the stains on it because it's just it's so old. But yeah, if you could tell me what year it was, that'd be great because I don't know. And let me take a minute to tell you about the sponsor, NordVPN. It's the VPN that I use, and I will use a lot more when I'm in Istanbul next week. Protect your accounts with instant dark web pro alerts. You can get this for $3.09 a month, 76% off, instead of $11.59. You can get that, and you'll get 3 months extra as well with this deal. So you can click in the show notes. The link is right there. I'll tell you, this week we used NordVPN on our TV, dialed into the Turkish versions of Netflix, and watched a great movie with the actor Eda Eci in it. I think she's funny. It was a pretty funny movie, so we really enjoyed it. Without a VPN, we would have had to been in Istanbul watching their Netflix there. We could not have watched that at home. That's why I love the service. But yeah, so we're back in control of the Super League. 4 points in front of Fenner. We'll see what Trabzon does tomorrow. And then, as I said, we've got us a big cup game against Gençlerbirliği on Wednesday. So take care of business there. And yes, we're on our way to a 2-trophy season and final 16 in the Champions League. And yeah, if you're going to the Fenerbahçe game, message me. I'll be there. Maybe we can meet up beforehand. That'd be super cool to meet some of you guys. But tell me in the comments, what do you think? Do you think it's just all the games that they've played? And that's my theory of why we're playing well, but not as well as last season where we were just thrashing people 4-0, 3-0, 5-1, those kind of things. I just think that's the only explanation because with the week off, we seem to be healthy again. So we're getting to rest people. And I'm excited. We've got these games in midweek, then we got a real chance next Sunday to pretty much wrap up the league, and that would be awesome. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you've been watching a few, please subscribe. And Heidi, in Butte, Jim Bone.